All right, football fans, we're back. Wrestling fans, we're still here. Kelly Nelson, Ryan Gray, episode 8, Super Bowl 60 special, touchdown to Turnbuckles. Kelly, what's up, buddy? It's been 2 or 3 years. How long has it been?
2 years. Yeah, it was right before I guess it was Chiefs Niners Super Bowl that year. One that I boycotted. I didn't watch.
Just like this year, it's an AFC win in the Super Bowl.
We'll save that for later, but don't get too cocky.
I know. So at the end, we'll give our Super Bowl 60 picks. But what this show is, Kelly, is we're avid football fans and we're avid wrestling fans, right?
Yeah.
So this was a 7-part series where we indulged into different eras of the NFL or football, college, AFL, Canadian, the Monarchs, whatever, right? And we dove into that era of wrestlers that were in that atmosphere. Like if we had Roman Reigns was with the Argonauts, we had
Eskimos, actually.
Eskimos, not the
now the Elks,
the CFL,
but the Eskimos
right?
then, yeah.
But pretty much what we did was a 7-part series based upon 4 wrestlers into one subject of football, and we just dove into the history. And the historian that you are told us all about it. So this episode, it's a Super Bowl 60 episode. We're going to give our predictions at the end, but we broke it down to 2 wrestlers each. Kelly, you picked the 2 wrestlers, and then I kind of picked similarities to those wrestlers. Which 2 wrestlers did you pick?
Well, I went with Stan the Lariat Hansen, who was someone we could have easily talked about last time. West Texas State boy. There's a lot of them. We did a whole episode on West Texas State guys. We did 4. We did Tully Blanchard, Tito Santana, Dory Funk Jr., and Dusty Rhodes. And there's, about another 4 or so you could talk about. So Hansen will be good. A lot to talk about there. A really cool match to watch involving all 4 participants are West Texas State alum. We're going to be looking at from 1982. And then because I'm such a homer, well, not a homer because I don't live in Philly, but because I'm such a big Eagles fan, I thought, why not? Let's talk about Reggie White, who had one and one only wrestling match back in 1997. Of course, an all-time great Eagle. Maybe you could say the greatest Eagle of all time. And so one match, I'd never seen it before. I was kind of curious about that. And it's interesting to look at someone who didn't become a pro wrestler. He just had like a one-off, totally a one-off, never got in the ring again. So we'll see how he fared at Slamboree 1997. And then you have 2 modern wrestlers, former.
Yeah, but this kind of the same vein where you kind of struck from. Is Bron Breakker Stan Hansen? Of course not, but he is an impactful wrestler, lineage, so to speak, and just the chaos that Stan brought, Bron brings in a modern tone. So that's why I used him as a similarity, and then I used PatMcAfee because I think Pat is low-key underrated as a I don't want to say wrestler, but a figure in the wrestling space, and his journey to get here is pretty interesting as well. So I thought Pat would be kind of a nice guy to close this out as well. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get the nerdy of it all. Let's jump right in. All right, Kelly. Unfortunately, before we get into it, we should talk about Bobby Duncombe Sr. I think it's kind of fitting to talk about him. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, he just passed away, I think less than 2 weeks ago. And he was a West Texas State guy. So I thought, well, we had to at least give him a salute up front. We didn't talk about him last time, obviously. And there he is, number 72 with the Army haircut. It's funny. Most of them, when they were football players, had short hair. And then when they become wrestlers, they become hippies kind of. But that was the era, the 60s and then going into the 70s, everyone had long hair. He was definitely a proto Stan Hansen in a lot of ways, especially Hansen's early look when he had long blonde hair. But Big Bad Bobby Duncombe, no, he did well for himself. He also played briefly for the St. Louis Cardinals one season, who were a football team. For those who don't know the history, they became eventually the Phoenix Cardinals, and then eventually changed a little bit to the Arizona Cardinals of today. But they were a football team in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s. Anyway, I think he played 4 games with the Cardinals. I'm not sure the season. I want to say 68, maybe 69, and then got into wrestling, of course, and was, a main eventer. He had programs with Bruno at MSG in the 70s, and then later Bob Backlund, when Bob Backlund was champ in New York, drew well, and was in the AWA quite a bit, part of one of the coolest named tag teams of all time, the Black and Blue Express with Ken Patera.
Cool.
Yeah, another legit athlete. And they held the AWA tag team titles. And then he kind of, in the early 80s, faded away. I think he wrestled as the Mummy at one point, kind of had a not a great end to his career. But in the 70s, he was definitely in the mix as a top heel. He was a big guy, so he got a lot of main events back then. And rest in peace, Bobby Duncombe Sr.
Yeah, what I'm familiar with him is I watched all the Backlund feud, and it was pretty good for its time. It was not the sexiest pick, and I don't think it was the hottest time for Backlund title run in 1980, right? So, I thought it was extremely passable for modern eyes, and for the time, probably good. You think that it drew so well with Backlund because it was based off the Bruno feud years and years before, probably helped it, right?
Oh, totally, yeah. I'd like to see, who knows if you'll ever see any of the Bruno feud. There's nothing from MSG out there, but I think some of them were televised, so you never know. I've just seen magazine covers and photos, and they were pretty bloody. Like Bruno was covered head to toe in blood in one of the matches, and that was rare. Bruno didn't blade a ton, so that they'd be interesting to see if they ever surfaced. There is some footage from Boston Garden filmed by Rocky Raymond of Bruno and Bobby Duncombe, but that's of course clip stuff. So the Bruno stuff would be interesting if it ever surfaces to see.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Kelly. The main event here for us is Stan Hansen, but we're starting with the main event. It's like modern times. Tell us about Stan Hansen and what he was like for the touchdowns before getting to the turnbuckles.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to talk about Stan first because he's the oldest of the guys we're talking about. We'll go in chronological order. But as far as a wrestling career, definitely the most successful. Bron Breakker, who's coming up. I mean, he's still in the early stages and all that, so you never know. But Hansen, did it all basically as a wrestler. I'll get into some of his highlights as a wrestler, but of course we'll start with his football days. He was born August 29th, 1949. He's still kicking. So that would make him near 77, turning 77 years young this year. His measurements as a football player at his peak, 6'4" and 250 pounds. So a very big guy. He definitely had the body to be a pro, the size, that's for sure. And as a kid, he was, well-rounded. I'm reading actually his autobiography right now. I got it. I had some extra Amazon cash on a gift card, so I thought, well, why not? I'll get the Kindle of it because we were going to talk about him. So I've only got up to the start of his wrestling career. But as a kid, he was into all sports pretty much. He was a big baseball guy. Baseball was actually his first love, and sort of still, even as a older man, narrating the story, he says baseball is like the king of all sports or whatever. But he became pretty good at football. His family moved around a bit from Texas to New Mexico, and he was in New Mexico for high school. And he was mostly a linebacker by the time he graduated high school. And then I don't think he had any real offers, serious offers anyway. West Texas State had a lot of interest in him, so he went there. at the time, West Texas State was going through basically their golden era where they had a lot of winning teams, played in bowl games, and were very successful. So he went to them. He was a linebacker, like I said. I've got the dates as 1968 to 1970. I think that just doesn't count as freshman year because they had a varsity. Well, they would have had a freshman team and then the varsity team back then. So as a freshman, he would have played on the freshman team. And then 68 through 70, he was on the varsity squad. And it was during his time at West Texas State that he first got into watching wrestling. Of course, West Texas State, we know even then, you had the Funk Brothers had just recently come out, Dusty Rhodes, Bobby Duncombe. Amarillo was close by, big wrestling city at that time. That's where the Funks were Dory Funk Sr. was the promoter and owned a territory. So at that time, Stan and his football buddies would go to the matches. And at the time, the big feud was Terry Funk, class of 66 for West Texas State, against Harley Race. This was in the late 60s. So talking about, wanting to see footage of Bruno and Bobby Duncombe wishing that would surface. If footage of Terry Funk and Harley Race in the late 60s surfaced, I'd be running to the computer or wherever to watch it because that would be awesome, I'm sure. Two young guys. In the book, Hansen talks about them having like chain matches, Texas death matches, of course, all kinds of bloody matches. And that really got him hooked. And he was definitely inspired by both guys as far as wrestling styles went. And it was during after his sophomore season, Stan hurt his knee playing basketball, and that kind of screwed up his NFL prospects. He had to switch to defensive end for his junior year, at least. He lost speed because of the knee injury, but he finished up, went back to playing linebacker in his senior season. And then, he had heard some rumblings and there had been some interest when he was a sophomore and a junior, or maybe a sophomore more, from the NFL and from scouts. But after his senior year, he went undrafted. And remember, at this time, the draft was like, how many rounds was it? It was probably almost 20.
We got a guy that was in the 19th round. Was it Orndorff was in the 19th round or something?
Yeah, exactly. Well into the teens. So he wasn't drafted at all. But he was signed by the Baltimore Colts as an undrafted free agent. The Baltimore Colts were coming off, I believe, a Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl V. They had been a great team in the 50s and 60s. So he was signed by a very good team at the time. He played exhibition games with Baltimore, but they had him playing center. They didn't have, room for him on defense. They needed a backup center at the time. He had never really played center other than I think in high school a bit. So he didn't really have much of a chance. He had the size and he had great tackling skills apparently, but he just lacked the speed to be a pro. So he was cut before the 1971 season. In 1972, he was invited to training camp with the San Diego Chargers. And things were going okay, but he kind of saw the writing on the wall, knew he was going to be cut again. He was offered a teaching job that he had to make a quick decision on because when he at West Texas State, he got a degree in education and wanted to be a high school teacher, coach football, high school football. That was an idea if the pro football thing didn't work out. So he kind of had to quickly decide with the school year approaching if he was going to take this job or if he was going to go to the end of training camp with the Chargers. And he decided to quit the Chargers, quit the training camp and take the coaching job and the high school teaching job, which ended up not lasting very long because shortly after he started his teaching gig, Terry Funk kind of recruited him to be trained as a wrestler. And of course that was really close, Amarillo. And things moved pretty quick. By his first match was on January 1st, 1973 in Amarillo. So only a few months after quitting the Chargers camp and a few months after starting this, what was looked to be maybe a career in teaching. But he was, he in his book, he talks about a meeting he had with Terry Funk and Dory Funk Sr. about, wrestling, it's interesting. I like wrestling a lot. That's cool. But what can you pay me? And Terry was like, well, we can get you like $500 to start. And Stan thought he was talking about $500 a month. And that would have been about the same as he was making as a teacher. So he thought, it's probably not worth it. But then they clarified and said, no, it would be $500 a week in wrestling. And so Stan was at that time good money. And it was no brainer. He's like, well, that's like 4 times as much as I could make as a teacher and just starting out as a wrestler in a territory that wasn't exactly one of the major territories at the time. So he went in, head first. I think he had a tryout with the Detroit Wheels of the WFL. I didn't get that far into the book, but I read this online. So he may have had one more kind of shot at glory. The WFL, we talked about it 2 years ago on the original Touchdowns to Turnbuckles. It was a very short-lived attempt at a second major.
Didn't JBL play it or something, I think?
No, that was the WLAF, the World League of American Football. That was
the 80s, so this is the 70s.
Yeah, early 90s. This was the mid-70s. They only lasted for 1.5 seasons, yes. Their second season ended halfway through because every team was bankrupt. But yeah, they made a big splash at first, signing the Miami Dolphins, like 3 best offensive players, with the hitch being that they couldn't play until the 1975 season. They couldn't play in the 1974 season. Anyway, Paul Orndorff played briefly. I think that's why we talked about the WFL the last time around. So anyway, Hansen may have had like a brief attempt at one more attempt at football with the Detroit Wheels. So I guess that would have been 1974. But like I said, I haven't got that far in the book, and I just kind of glanced at that online. But anyway, by 73, he was in Amarillo, and he moved up pretty quickly. By 76, he was in New York, against Bruno right away.
Yep.
And then the infamous match where he accidentally dropped Bruno on the top of his head. Bruno broke his neck.
Yep.
Thankfully, it didn't hurt him long term. Well, maybe it did, but it didn't paralyze him, which it apparently could have very well done. It came very close, but it ended up becoming making the program between the two of them even hotter because Bruno then came back. Everyone knew he had broken his neck. On TV, they said it was because of the lariat clothesline, not the body slam. So that got the lariat over as an all-time killer move that almost crippled Bruno. And at the time, New York had a relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So what happened in New York would make the news in Japan in their different magazines and probably on TV. So immediately before Hansen even wrestled in Japan, he was known as the guy who broke Bruno's neck, and Bruno was a big name in Japan from the 60s mostly. So he went into Japan already with a lot of notoriety right from the Bruno feud. And that was in 76. So his 3rd full year. And then it was kind of, the sky's the limit after that. Huge success in Japan. Eventually he switched over to All Japan, which was a major story at the time. Because wrestlers defecting from one to the next, New Japan to All Japan, was even more intense than like the Monday Night Wars with WWF and WCW guys going back and forth. This was major stuff. And then he was AWA champion, maybe the last, you could say, consequential AWA champion. And he left without dropping the title. He ran over the belt with his truck and mailed it back to Vern as a big FU.
You don't say.
Yeah, Vern didn't deal with him too great, apparently. Yeah, and then by the end of the 80s, he was more known for his work in Japan. The territories, or the state of things in America, of course, wasn't great. He never went back to the WWF for a run during the Hogan years. I really should have sped through the book to get to that point, because I'm not
Well,
sure.
he does wrestle
why.
Hogan in '90 for that Super Show or whatever.
Yes, but that was in Japan, of course.
Yeah.
And he actually was a sub for Terry Gordy, because Gordy decided he didn't want a job at the last second to Hogan or whatever in Japan. So that match was thrown together at the last second. But yeah, nothing in the States. Yeah, great match. Yeah, definitely. Very cool match. If people haven't seen it, it should be easy to find on YouTube.
Yeah, it was on Cronoso, so it's pretty fun. Easy. It's on YouTube for sure.
Yeah. Great card. A lot of cool matches on that card, actually.
The Summit.
The Summit. Yes. The best match is Macho Man Randy Savage against Ganucho Tenryu, which is awesome because Sherry Martel's there, and it's really cool stuff to see them all interact. But yeah, he didn't need the money from Vince. He was paid as well as anybody in Japan at the time. He would have made as much money in Japan as he could have made in the States. And he had a lot more freedom. Yeah, a lot more freedom. But of course, he would have been booked for a big program with Hogan, no doubt.
Yeah, who knows what his payday would have been there, right?
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see, if they'd have got him in the late 80s before things got too cartoonish. He had a little bit of, contact with WCW, short runs there. Him and Lex Luger had a feud in 1990. But then, he sort of just stayed mostly in Japan until he retired. But yeah, one of the all-time great wrestlers, no doubt. There's tons of footage out there to make that case. Tons of stuff from Japan. Big matches, like 20-minute, 30-minute brawl, crazy matches against all kinds of top names, tag team matches, of course. And then into the 90s, he was mixing it up with Misawa and Kobayashi and the bigger stars of a new generation, right? And putting them over and making them stars. And yeah, just an amazing career, really. And as far as the quality of his matches, it was always quite high. He would always go 100%. And of course was notorious for being pretty stiff at times in the ring.
We'll talk about that later tonight.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a match. Basically, probably you could say it was the prime of his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk more about him later for sure. Great wrestler.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Kelly. Up next is Bron Breakker. Bronson Rechsteiner, October 24th, 1997, Woodstock, Georgia. According to Wikipedia, he's about 6 foot, 250 pounds. Not sure about that, right? We'll get to his NFL measurements much later, but not like the worst exaggeration from WWE, but not 6. He's not 6 feet and he's not 250 pounds. Well, we'll see. All right. Football career-wise, Kelly, high school was Ewart High School. It was a public high school in Georgia. He was a versatile athlete with standout offensively, defensively, and special teams. He was a multi-county and state honors. So a very, very successful high school football career, which led him to Kennesaw State 2016 through 2019. Kennesaw, little history about them. Their first FBS season was 2015. By the end of 2019, Kennesaw State was 48-15 to start the program. The winningest startup program through the first 5 years in college football D1 history. So that's a pretty cool nugget that Breakker was in the meat of that, so to speak, right? For 2002, they joined Conference USA. By 2024, they had moved up to the FBS level, up from FCS. So now they're kind of eligible to play in the college football playoff, right? For so to speak, kind of like how JMU did this year, right? A mid-major made it up, it got one of the seeds, so they would be eligible for that. So their rise has been extremely fast, and the way that they played was very high school approach-wise, schematically. They ran the wing T, and he was the 3-back, which is the fullback. So we're going to get into his stats, but it very, very impressive that they were very hyper focused on specific football players of that time, starting fresh in D1, and he fit the bill tenfold. Freshman year, he would play special teams and defense in a little offense, and then his special teams and defense started disintegrating, and his offense started amplifying big time at the collegiate level. He was an excellent college football player. I'm not going to play his college football tape because we really don't have time. But if you haven't seen it, it's phenomenal. It's so funny because it's literally wing T stuff, and it's him just hitting a dive for 70 yards untouched, or a cross buck where the lineman would do a belly. That's just a cross buck, and he would just hit that ass on the center's fucking cross block, and he would just be gone. And the lineman would barely make it to the linebackers on the cross block. His vision was incredible. His acceleration was phenomenal. And you could really see it in modern day wrestling on that skill set. And you could see why he had a shot with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, well, 8.1 rushing average is pretty impressive.
Yes. So the 5th highest rushing yards in school history, right? He led a powerful running attack with a huge yards per carry, 8.1 his senior year, which, like I said, most of that stuff is between the guards and the centers and the guards. It's the muck. He's getting that in the muck, so to speak, right? It's not like he's running sweeps or whatever.
Right.
Record-setting game was 221 yards, and the longest catch he had was a touchdown versus Monmouth, which was a 60-yard catch. The wing T is prolific with faking and then throwing guys to the flat. I'm sure it was a type of screen that he would caught, and he's just gone.
Yeah. So when I first got into college football in the 90s, a lot of teams were still using that very run heavy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I fell in love with college football, because it was different than what the NFL was doing, right?
Yeah. Even where I coach at high school is way more advanced than this level of offense. Yeah. But to run that offense, you have to have special people up front and a special running back. And I can't amplify that enough that he was a true talent at that level for them to run that style of offense. All right. If you weren't impressed yet, we're going to go over his NFL Combine stats. He listed in at 5'10" and a quarter. So, legit close to 6. Not the worst exaggeration ever to call him 6 feet. He weighed in at 223 pounds. Kelly, 4.5 40-yard dash.
Yeah, that's good.
Incredible. That's insane. That's like bonkers.
Yeah.
I can't, and that's not even the most impressive. A 35.5-inch vertical leap, again, like explosive, and then 35 reps on the bench press. The bench press is 225 pounds per rep. That's 245 plates on each side that he's busting out. You have to hit your chest, mind you. There's clearly you have to have a grip a little longer, and then you have to just hammer him. Right. Incredible strength. Look at him,
Yeah.
He is a Steiner, so to speak, right?
Oh, but yeah, for sure.
Even the measurables on record, he could have easily fit into the Royal Rumble 1988 in that bench press contest and done extremely well.
Yeah, push Dino aside, and
Jesse would have not had to help him on that bar. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. No, he's an amazing athlete. Just a touch short, just not big enough.
For the pro, for
the pros, it's tough. I mean,
and mind you, we're going to get into his NFL career here, but it was hard to replace the guy that he was kind of looking to replace.
Right. And fullback, that's kind of a dying position, unfortunately.
Yeah, Greg Roman is the OC at the time, and that's very reliant on 21 personnel, which is 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 tight end. Right. And it's very passe. Nowadays, you want to spread them out. So the new 21 personnel is 12 personnel, which is 1 running back and 2 tight ends. You can see you can be a lot more explosive with that because you have an extra gap for the run game in the tight end. And then you have an extra receiver in the pass game as a tight end. And you still have your 2 receivers set to do in a slot, or you can bunch them together, or you can spread them out. You can manipulate the tight ends however you want with on the line of scrimmage. You can put them at sniffers. You can put them behind. It's just so much more flexible than the 21 personnel. But the 21 personnel is a bitch because you can really create creases and set the edge, especially if you have explosive tight ends and wide receivers where the secondary still has to honor that, and they have to have the box extremely light. 21 personnel, you can be very manipulative and create creases and get 12-yard gains, which are really supposed to be 3 or 4 because you have that extra guy getting to the levels, creating gaps, so on and so forth. But it's very passe for nowadays.
Right.
Like I said, now so you want to be so explosive in the pass game. You'd want the 12, which is the 2 tight ends opposed to the 2 backs, right? So that's a little background on why the fullback's dying in the NFL, so to speak. But McDaniels does a great job with it. So I think that's going to be the new wrinkle this weekend. But I can talk football all day.
This guy's a coach, folks. He knows what he's talking about.
I know what I'm talking about there. I'm not going to go on a tangent. Not going on the tangent. But I love 12 personnel. Love 12 personnel. All right, Kelly. He signed for the Baltimore Ravens as an unrestricted free agent in April 2020 as a fullback, and he was released in August 2020. So he spent the whole summer with them. He went through the spring training, and then I think he got cut right before the first preseason game is how I look at it.
Okay.
The odds were always stacked against Steiner to making the Baltimore roster, which included Pro Bowler Patrick Ricard, who's still on the team. Fun fact, Kelly, he grew up 2 towns over from me. So,
cool.
And where did he go? He went to an Ivy. I want to say, where did he go? I should have looked up, but he went to an Ivy, and he went to Brown, I think. No, Devlin went to Brown. Devlin went to Brown. So I'm going to have to put it in the comments. It's slipping my mind right now. Or he went to no, he went to fucking Maine. What am I saying? Ivy. First of all, they're lucky if they have 4 teeth up in Maine, right? But still. But not the farthest thing from an Ivy. But it's at the same level as Kennesaw State was, right? So they obviously they want to find these guys at that AA level and just see that small skill set that would translate to the NFL. Obviously, Ricard maximized him. Similar to the Juszczyk, who played at Yale, right? Where Steiner kind of fit that mold, but similar to your point, the 5'10" and a quarter probably held him back a little bit, right?
Yeah, you got to be really, really, really good to make it for under 6 feet these days, right?
Yeah, no doubt. But teammates noted how he attacked drills like a fight. Every rep he took personal, and he wasn't trying to make the team. He was trying to run through it. I fucking love that quote, Kelly. I adore that quote because that's the personification of the football player. That's the reason why he got to that level was just that grit. And I love that. He didn't try to make the team. He tried to run through it. That's the type of thing that you can't teach. So, and you see that a lot in translating into his in-ring action, right? And that ring in action career started where he made his pro wrestling debut on the independent scene in October 2020 for WrestleJam 8, an event promoted by AWF and /WOW, and he defeated Jamie Hall. Never heard of him, but there's a picture of him that I found on the internet. Similar Steiner garb. You can obviously recognize him with his body, but very dimly lit on the indie scene in 2020. So
that's him in the ring, and then that's Scott Steiner on the outside.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yep. So I was able to get that and fit it in on our little screen here. If you listen on audio, you're going to have to obviously go check out the YouTube for the visual aids that we go through, Kelly. Just a cheap plug there. But I thought it was cool and unique to say that he got just enough training before going to the WWE and NXT, because obviously I felt that it was destiny. But I like that we're going to talk about this with McAfee too, but he has this little blimp of an indie match that he can kind of rest his head on. And, it's pretty cool too.
So soon after he was cut too by the Ravens.
Yeah. October, 3 months.
2 months. Yeah. 2 months.
All right. He debuted on NXT 2.0 on September 14th, 2021, defeating LA Knight. And this was the inaugural NXT 2.0. I believe him and Carmelo Hayes were kind of pulled aside and saying, hey, we're revamping NXT and you guys are going to be the face of it, right? And it's going to be a fraction of what it was, but with like this new gen twist. I always looked at it as leaving the golden era from the early 90s and starting fresh with the new gen, where there was so much wonkiness, but you had your studs within it, right? And Breakker fit the mold of being a stud. He was pushed so quickly in NXT, becoming a 2-time NXT champion in early 2020, and then a longer reign in later 2022 into 2023. He won the NXT Tag Golds as well as with Baron Corbin in 2024 as the Wolf Dogs. I thought that team was incredible. Corbin, another football player with the Arizona Cardinals as well. Right. And actually a college roommate with PatMcAfee. Or no, excuse me, an NFL training camp roommate with PatMcAfee when he was with the Colts after the Cardinals run too. So that's pretty cool symmetry to go with there as well. He had notable feuds in NXT with Tommaso Ciampa, Dolph Ziggler, and Carmelo Hayes. And Breakker won the Rookie of the Year in the Observer Awards in 2022 from the Observer readers as well.
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's pretty cool historically. And then I forgot to change the picture, but that is his picture in NXT, just jacked and looking like the definition of a pro wrestler right there. But here he is as your Intercontinental Champion, Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Post WrestleMania 40, he was called up leading up to defeating Sami Zayn to win the Intercontinental Championship by SummerSlam, a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Between SummerSlam 2024 and WrestleMania 41, he would lose the belt in a fatal 4-way at WrestleMania 41 to Dominic Mysterio without getting pinned. The night after WrestleMania 41, he joined the Vision and aligned himself with Paul Heyman. Since then, he gained a pinfall in a star-studded 2025 War Games match. He recently faced CM Punk's on the 2026 Netflix anniversary edition of Monday Night Raw. And fortunately for him, he lost in a gallant effort. It was a very, very good match. And now he's heading into WrestleMania season, and we'll see where he kind of shakes out. But he's probably the guy that I would buy the most stock in heading forward to be the next Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, whomever. All his Steiner attributes work beautifully under the WWE umbrella. And whatever his high points are, they are defining it to a T. I would definitely buy stock in Bron Breakker going forward. I think he's honestly can't miss.
Yeah, he's still pretty young. What is he, 28? Yeah, sky's the limit. It'll be interesting to see if he has to, change anything, or if he can stay the same character and become a true main eventer. I mean, I don't watch modern wrestling, and this was the first Bron Breakker match that I've seen, the one we're going to be talking about, to be honest. So I can't make any real definitive statements here, but I trust your judgments.
Whatever it is, he has some portion of it, and they know how to amplify it. Really, right?
Yeah. No, it's like you said, he's definitely like very much a WWE got in the WWE mold. He'll always be in the mix as long as he stays healthy, I'm sure.
Yeah, like that charisma that Scott had, right? He has that right. Unpredictability that Scott had and Rick had to an extent too. He has that, and that good workmanship that Rick had, and even Scott in the early 90s, he has that too. They've crafted him really, really well.
It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for him.
So, Kelly, that's Bron Breakker. All right, let's take a look at Reggie White here.
All right, Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. This one's kind of a leftover from last time, I think, because we did Mongo last time, and I think I wanted the Mongo match, to be Mongo versus Reggie White last time, because of course White played for the Eagles, was an Eagles great, but it's not on YouTube. And then we quickly pivoted to Kevin Green, which was probably a wise choice, because that was a really good match. And Kevin Green was a natural fit in the squared circle. Reggie White, I mean, we'll talk about it. He only had the one match. I'm sure he was trained.
It was charming.
Yeah. So now we're getting to it. And like I said, do an Eagle. I don't know. There's not too many like off the top of my head that I could think of Eagles that went into pro wrestling. And
Jason Kelsey was at WrestleMania 40.
right, yeah, Lane
Yeah.
Johnson too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like I said at the beginning, I'd like to talk about somebody who just had a brief cup of coffee, a brief cameo in pro wrestling. So he was born December 19th, 1961, and unfortunately passed away December 26th, 2004 at the young age of 43, just a week past his 43rd birthday. Way too young. He was at his peak, or his football height and weight, 6'5", 291 pounds. So he was massive. Defensive end, of course, one of the great pass rushers of all time, great sack artists of all time. And he started things at the University of Tennessee in the early 1980s, 1980 to 1983. I think he had a bit of injury issues at one point during his college career, but by 1983, he was, consensus, like one of the top defensive prospects in the country. And going into 1984, would have been one of the top draft picks in the NFL draft. And I say would have because now we're going to talk about rival leagues again, this time 1980s style. We had the USFL, United States Football League, which started in 1983. We talked about that last time with Ron Simmons, Lex Luger. Those guys played for USFL teams. They played on the same US. But Reggie, I mean, they were signing big names. They signed Herschel Walker. Yeah. 1984, they signed the person who was presumably, or the consensus pick to be number one in the 1984 draft, Steve Young. Yep. The LA Express signed him. And Reggie signed with the Memphis Showboats to stay in the state of Tennessee, where he went to college. There's his USFL rookie card, I guess. Or I'm not sure if it's his rookie. He played there 2 seasons, but anyway, one of his USFL cards, Premier Edition. The Showboats did not have one of the better logos and uniforms in the USFL. If you know your USFL uniforms and teams, there were some really great uniforms. The Houston Gamblers was awesome. Tampa Bay Bandits was really good. But then on the other side, you had San Antonio. What were they? San Antonio Outlaws. Anyway, their logo and uniforms are horrible. The Memphis Showboats. I guess that's supposed to be the wheel on a what is it called? The riverboat, right? I think, or I guess a showboat. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it looks like a fan or like a peacock or something. Anyway, so Reggie went there, took the bag. I don't know if he ever really, like, that was the thing. A lot of players signed these huge contracts, that never got honored, of course.
I think they were like sold a bag of goods with like annuity and stuff like that.
Yeah, like and deferred payments like way into the future.
Very Shohei Ohtani-ish.
Yes, but yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Shohei will get paid eventually, but
like
Steve Young signed like some stupid thing, like a 20-year contract, or I don't know what it was, but he probably hardly saw any of that money. The USFL folded after the 1985 season, so it only lasted 3 years. So Reggie played for the USFL in 84-85, and then he went and played for the Philadelphia Eagles, who had acquired him in what was known as the supplemental draft, where they you would take guys that weren't eligible or weren't going to come out in the regular draft. I think it's still, I don't even know if it's still a thing. It was more of a thing in the 80s.
Yeah. I think, so what, Steve Young went to Tampa Bay first, and then White went to Philly second, was it?
I don't know if Young was taken in the supplemental draft or if he was just drafted in the regular draft, like late, like way late or something.
Remember.
But yes, Young went to Tampa Bay, and White, of course, went to the Eagles. And so he played a season with the USFL, because remember, the USFL started in the late spring and played in the summer. So he could play a full season in 1985 with the Memphis Showboats and then be ready for the NFL season, because the seasons didn't overlap. So in 1985, Reggie played a lot of professional football. He didn't play a full NFL season in 1985. I think he only played 12 games, but still crazy. And he was immediately great. He had like 12 or 13 sacks in 12 games.
He had the record for a while.
Yeah. Well, in the 1987 season, one of the most legendary seasons for a pass rusher ever, he had 21 sacks in only 12 games.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because that year was a strike year, and the regular players missed 3 games because of the strike, and then one other game was canceled. So the regular players only played 12 games that year, and he had 21 sacks. So if you extrapolate, if they had played 16 games that year, the record, which was just set by Myles Garrett this season of 23 in 17 games, you would think Reggie could have had 25, 26, who knows, in a full 16-game season, and would still then, to this day, have the record for sacks in a season.
To stick up for the offense a little bit, maybe there was some scabs at offensive tackle, perhaps.
I don't think he played with scabs. I think he only played in the regular games. So,
but still, an incredible feat, of course.
Yes, a credible feat. He won Defensive Player of the Year that year, 1987, the only time he would win that award, and the last, to this day, Philadelphia Eagle to win Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, he had a amazing career. Like with the Eagles, every year it was like Pro Bowl, All Pro, large sack numbers. The Eagles were a consistent playoff team, known for their defense, the gangrene with White and with Seth Joyner, Eric Allen, Clyde Simmons, tons of great players at that time. But as we got into the 90s, for years trying to hold off free agency, the NFL finally couldn't hold it off any longer. And in 1993, unrestricted free agency, I guess it was unrestricted. I don't know. Really better free agency than
Jerry
they had
Jones
before.
Signed Dion and the world went on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Reggie was one of the first big free agent signings. The Eagles held a parade, or like a rally in Philly to try and get him to stay. It was he was the heart of the team, and he signed with the Green Bay Packers, who were a team on the rise. Brett Favre. And, but you'll notice I didn't include any pictures of Reggie in a Green Bay uniform. I just couldn't.
A little bit at the end here, perhaps. But.
Yes, I mean, in a modified one. I pretty much at that time I hated all the dynasty teams, especially the Cowboys, of course. But then it looked like, the Packers, here we go again. The Cowboys dynasty had receded, and it looked like, the Packers are going to be the next one. And they won a Super Bowl 1996 against your boys, Patriots, in the Superdome, the pre-Belichick, pre-Tom Brady Patriots, who
ourselves. He was
just
with the fucking Jets, and it fucked us that year.
They were just human. No, not the super team that would be coming in the 2000s.
In 2020s.
Yeah, and Reggie had a huge game in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I think 3 sacks. And so he got his ring, hung on for a few more years. 1998, actually, I was wrong. He did win another Defensive Player of the Year award, and it was in 1998, his last year with the Packers. He had a huge year, like 16 sacks, and then he retired. But he came out of retirement, probably shouldn't have, but as we know, a lot of players just can't say no or can't hang it up. Came back with the Carolina Panthers, of all teams, in 2000. And I think, was that the year they went 1-15? No, I think it was the next year. But they weren't very good in 2000 either. But definitely, next year, 2001, they were 1-15. So Reggie went to them. He was, of course, very involved in religion and the church. And I think it was in 1998 he made that kind of crazy speech. I don't know where it was. Was it at a church, or was it? It was in when he was still in Wisconsin. A lot of racist statements. I was listening to Jim Rome at the time religiously, and he just hammered Reggie almost on a daily basis after that speech. But anyway, let's not speak it too ill of the dead. He was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2006, on the first ballot, unlike Bill Belichick.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I had to get that one in there.
Yeah.
Topical news.
Stop
here. Oh, he'll be a second ballot.
Well, first of all, it to go not to go on a tangent, but it made him a baby face, so I love it.
I did. I know he was a total heel. That was totally the
baby faced him up like a motherfucker.
And I think did he break up with that young girl he was with, or is that just like a fake news thing that I saw?
That could be fake news. Well, who knows? Maybe he's got a new one, younger one, right? Not too young though. Not too young.
I was gonna say, like, if he breaks up with her, that would also make him a bigger baby face or help.
Yeah, he's got to get a new model. It's like a lease. A lease car, you know. That's what he's up to.
He's really, yeah. Well, good for him. Good for Bill. Next year, I guess, or whenever. So that's the football career of Reggie White. So the wrestling career, I guess you can't even call it a career. The dalliance with wrestling by Reggie. We have to rewind a few years to 1997. WCW, they had Steve Mongo McMichael, part of the Four Horsemen, former Chicago Bear. And they were starting to, give him football storylines, wrestler versus, or football player versus football player storylines. I thought for some reason the Kevin Green match happened first, but no, the Reggie White match with Mongo happened first. Back it up a couple years earlier to that, 1995, for Lawrence Taylor's big one-off at WrestleMania 11. Yep, he was part of Reggie was part of Taylor's All-Stars, and so was Mongo. That accompanied him to the ring for Taylor's match with Bam Bam Bigelow. So that was Reggie's first appearance on TV for a pro wrestling promotion. Fast forward to 1997, April 14th, Philadelphia, of all places, for a Nitro, and the announcement of the match with Reggie White versus Steve Mongo McMichael happened that evening in Philadelphia, and there was a pull-apart brawl after Mongo insulted Reggie White. I wonder how the crowd in Philly reacted to that, because Reggie had turned heel on Philly in 1993, so maybe Mongo got the babyface reaction there. I don't know.
Maybe
Philly fans, they kind of live to boo, as we know. A week later, April 21st, also on Nitro, of course, White was at ringside, and he got involved in Mongo's match. And then a couple weeks later on Nitro, May the 12th, Mean Gene Okerlund interviewed Reggie White after Reggie again had gotten involved in a match with Mongo. So that was just a few days. That was the go-home show for Slamboree 97. So a lot of hype for this match that we're going to be discussing. Slamboree, May 18th, 1997 in Charlotte. So the home of Reggie's short-lived last football team was where this match took place. And we'll get into it. So you've seen the pictures. Headlocks. There's a lot of headlocks.
It's
Reggie, cute. Reggie with his modified Packers jersey. And we'll talk about it. Anyway, that was Reggie's one and only match. I looked up, he didn't even appear in the crowd or anything ever again for WCW. Nothing. So anyway, we'll talk about the match, and that's Reggie White. Rest in peace, Reggie. You were taken into heaven, wearing a Philadelphia Eagles jersey. I know that. I can comfortably say that.
Well, here he is wearing Green Bay Packer colors, though. As
I know, but see that, and we know what happens in this match. After that, maybe threw that in the garbage. He only played 1 more year or 2 more years, I guess.
Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles jersey was in the Halliburton.
Yeah.
If you would like more coverage of this match, check out the Wrestling War Zone here on the North-South Connection, where Chad Campbell and JT rushed through that era. Well, I don't want to say rush, but dive into that era, and they're already into late 97, so they've already gone over this Slamboree card and the build up to it. So if you want more insight, check that out. Cheap plug. Checks in the mail, JT. All right, Kelly. Born Patrick Justin McAfee, May 2nd, 1987, Blum, Pennsylvania. Build 6'1", 233 pounds, according to Wikipedia, bigger than Bron Breakker.
Wow. I don't know about that.
Yeah, right. All right. High school football career was Plum High School, a public high school in Pennsylvania. He was with the class of 2005, lettering in football, soccer, and volleyball. Weird mix, but plays the part. As a youth, he successfully competed in the NFL pass, punt, and kick competition. He accepted a scholarship to the University of West Virginia. All right, college career, West Virginia Mountaineers, 2005 to 2008. Late in his senior year of high school, Pat heard about a kicking contest in Miami for players seeking scholarship. At this time, he was already offered a scholarship by Kent State, which was a local college. Pat would roughly win $1,400 in an illegal poker game and use the funds to travel to Miami for the camp. West Virginia would go on to offer him a scholarship at the camp. McAfee was at the West Virginia starting kicker as a freshman. He made a successful onside kick against Louisville in triple overtime win and finished the season with 11 field goals. By the end of his college career in 2008, McAfee had won the 2006 Gator Bowl and made a consecutive 106 extra points. Named the first team All-American and earned recognition as Lou Grohl's Award semifinalist in the Gray Guy finalist. So that's the kicker and punter finalist for best in the nation. Pat set school records in scoring and punting during his Mountaineer career. All right, I have his NFL Combine stats, not as impressive or as deep as Breakker, right? But he was billed at 5'11" 1/4 inches, 228 pounds. He ran a 4.89 40-yard dash, which is probably slower than me. But his Wonderlic score was 37. Not sure if that's good. That's pretty good, right?
I think lower the better, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't recall. I meant to look into it, but I couldn't find breakers. So
that's what I have. That's what comes to mind is that the lower the score, the better.
Interesting, yeah. And there's him at the modern day NFL Combine, doing some content, so to speak. NFL Indianapolis Colts. He was drafted in the 7th round, 13th overall, 222nd overall, 10 picks before Patriot great Julian Edelman, who went to Kent State and played quarterback and transferred and crossed over as wide receiver. So I thought there was enough symmetry there to kind of bring that up. And plus, I love Edelman. Shout out. Spending his whole career with the Colts from 2009 to 2016, primarily as a punter, he became known as one of the top punters in the league, combining for distance and excellence in directional kicking. A 2-time Pro Bowler in 14 and 16, first team All-Pro in 2014, played in Super Bowl 44 as a rookie, losing to the New Orleans Saints. Pat McAfee retired following the 2016 season and played in 127 games with a career of 575 punts, which is quite a bit because the Colts suck. And he punted.
Well, they were mostly good.
They were very good.
Yeah, they had that one bad year when Manning was out, and then otherwise, then they bounced back, right?
Yeah, he was a specialist too. He did some onside kicking, and then remember we jacked the guy up on the kick return, and then did the McGregor walk, and so.
Yeah, and didn't he do a fake, or he did a pass for a touchdown, didn't he?
Yeah, so he was more than just a punter. He was a great locker room guy too, as well, and quite the character, and that started to translate here in his post NFL career. During his final season in the NFL, McAfee began performing as a stand-up comedic routines about his life in the NFL. Soon after retirement, McAfee joined Barstool Sports, hosting the Pat McAfee Show on their Sirius XM channel. Pat would depart Barstool in August 2018, citing lack of transparency with Barstool. It was pretty much ad money, right? So, upon his Barstool departure, McAfee incorporated a small business, Pat McAfee Inc. Different iterations of his show would air on Sirius XM, Danzin, and Westwood One, with different themes from sports gambling, hockey talk, wrestling podcasting, and of course the NFL, eventually scooping across all sports, being the name The Pat McAfee Show. It would start airing on YouTube, which is his show is most famously known for now. College football coverage began in November 2018, where he did some work for Fox Sports. And then in 2019, he joined ESPN for Thursday Night College Football, where he would continue to hover around ESPN through 2023 on various shows before announcing a multi-year deal with ESPN, moving the Pat McAfee Show to the ESPN platform. And then his biggest platform was joining College Game Day in 2022. A month before the NFL draft in 2009, McAfee was involved in a match against the War Pig at an IWA East Coast show in Charleston, West Virginia. Pat won via low blow and super kick. In 2017, Pat would briefly train as a wrestler with Rip Rogers, which was filmed for Barstool Sports. In 2018, Pat would start appearing on NXT for their TakeOver pre-shows. By 2019, Pat would sign a deal with the WWE, where he would host live watch-alongs for WWE pay-per-views amongst a number of WWE wrestlers. At WrestleMania 35, Pat would find himself in a backstage argument with his then boss, Michael Cole, over a wardrobe where he wore tuxedos in shorts.
Right.
It was like trendy at the time, where LeBron James would do it, so on and so forth. And Cole didn't think it was very professional. It was quite the way to kind of kick off their professional friendship, which would blossom into being great friends to this day, right? In 2020, McAfee found himself in a feud with NXT star Adam Cole. At NXT TakeOver 30, McAfee was defeated by Cole. The feud would conclude at NXT War Games TakeOver, where Pat's team was defeated inside War Games. So he had like the brand. He had Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch, 3 UK wrestlers that were kind of his muscle, and they would go on to feud with the Undisputed Era. This was during the pandemic. It actually wasn't bad TV for all the things surrounding it, and Pat's charisma really shined and showed what he could really do in the WWE. It was a good opportunity. Honestly, he kicked it out of the park. And that would lead to 2021 April, where McAfee became a full-time color commentator alongside Michael Cole. And Michael Cole is his boss that put him in that spot and hire him. So kind of full circle there 2 years later. By March 2022, McAfee would interview Vince McMahon leading into WrestleMania 38. Vince would put him in a match at the end of the interview versus Austin Theory at AT&T Stadium, where Pat would win and then lose to Vince McMahon at an impromptu match at WrestleMania 38. Boy, I think it's now to go on that tangent. It's so full circle. Vince needed an ending to his documentary for Netflix that he signed. So this is before the scandals, and this was the way for Vince to have a final moment. And mind you, at WrestleMania 38 was the WrestleMania where Steve Austin on night 1 main evented against Kevin Owens.
Right.
So Austin, this match was on night 2, the Theory match, which actually is pretty good. I would have recommended it if we didn't go with the Gunther match that I'll talk about next. But he has a successful match with Theory. It's actually pretty good. And at the end of it, Vince gets in the ring to shoot an angle with Pat to conclude the podcast interview that he had in April or March of that year, right? That kicked off the Austin Theory match, where Vince was like, "You're lucky I didn't put you in a match. I would have kicked your scrawny ass." And Pat's like, "What are you doing, Vince?" Like, so Vince pretty much in a script shoots a match for himself, and he would go on to have, again, voted by the Observer readers as the worst match of the year. It's fucking horrendous, Kelly. It's on Netflix.
I did see it. Yes.
It's so bad.
Because then it goes right into the match with Austin, right? Steve
yeah.
Austin.
Well,
Yeah.
the Fury match is first, and then it goes into the Vince match, and then Austin comes out for another.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't a match with Vince,
Yeah,
but
it's a moment, right,
yeah,
so to speak. The
right.
moment's fun, and Pat's really good in it. Not the match. The match is a piece of shit, but like the circumstances around it and all that, it just shows Pat McAfee at his best, so to speak, right? So you can see why they like to use him on that night of WrestleMania 38. But Vince's last match versus Pat McAfee, unless if Vince comes out and have another match.
That was his last. I was gonna say it was a penultimate match, but no, the Austin match. Yeah, there wasn't an Austin match. I was wondering why Vince suddenly decided to wrestle again all those years later. So it makes sense that he did it just for Netflix. Okay.
So it was for the Netflix, so his documentary could end on a high note, right?
Well, it didn't. Too bad. Too bad, Vince.
The documentary is a good watch, by the way.
Yeah, I did watch it, of course.
Yeah, it's cool wrestling history. But anyways, by the fall 2022, Pat would take a hiatus from the WWE for College Game Day, which is an incredible job. He's with Nick Saban,
Kirk Herbstreit.
It's a very, very popular show, and it's a big spot, and it really magnified how big McAfee's brand has gotten, so to speak. But he would take a hiatus like that in the fall of 2022. After that, Pat would have shorter runs of spurts in the WWE. McAfee would continue having random matches at having a match against his former roommate Baron Corbin at SummerSlam 2022, an impromptu match with The Miz at WrestleMania 39. He was in the Royal Rumble in 2024 as an announcer. It was pretty bad. He was scared of Bron Breakker and jumped over the top. Or was it Brock Lesnar? I don't know, or almost one of those guys. It was a bad spot. And then most recently, the match we're going to talk about a little bit later here is his match with Gunther at Backlash last year in St. Louis. So that was the last that we've actually seen of McAfee, and he's just starting to sprinkle up. Last week he had Roman Reigns on his show, and Roman shot a kind of a big angle before winning the Royal Rumble, and you can start seeing breadcrumbs where Roman was laying the seed for a CM Punk match at WrestleMania. And then most recently this week for Super Bowl Row, CM Punk found himself on McAfee's show kind of responding to Roman Reigns as well. So he's still a part of the WWE family. He's starting to dip his toes back in. But I think after the Gunther match, he went away and he cited burnout. He's been going pretty hard since retirement, as I just went over his whole post-NFL career leading into wrestling, where I think that his brand was so big, it was worth kind of going over. So you can just see how big of a star and how much of a wide variance of outreach he kind of has now, and why he's so valuable to the WWE, honestly. And he's very polarizing. He's very loved, or he's very hated, honestly. So
I just know his podcast or his YouTube show is not my cup of tea, but
it's very jock rockish from an athlete's point of view, right? So it's slapstick. It works. It's his brand. I don't watch it every day. But I've whenever I see a clip with a wrestler on it, I know it's probably going to be good, and I check it out. But he has some big time stars. He has Belichick on it. He has Saban on it. He has quite the reach from popularity. So.
Oh yeah, no, I know he's mega popular, no doubt about that.
Yeah, so it is a love or a hate type of thing with McAfee. So I definitely, when you said Reggie White, I thought that he would definitely be worth talking about.
They both said some things that they probably shouldn't have at different points in their life publicly,
so to speak. A little bit there, Kelly. A little bit. All right, Kelly. Before we jump into the real reason why we're here, the Super Bowl. We give our picks and our thoughts leading into that. What we did at the end of each episode, we would go and talk about depth charts and match recommendations. And our goal throughout this whole process was to fill an NFL roster. So let's take a look at what our depth chart looks like right now. All right, Kelly, for the audio listeners, we had quarterback Tully Blanchard. We had running backs Bronco Nagurski and Gus Suttonberg. And then we did at our last episode, I had to fill out the depth chart. So ironically, I put Bron Breakker at fullback. Wide receiver, we only have one wide receiver. We're running 22 personnel here. But we had Trick Williams, who has now just got called up to SmackDown and had a very successful NXT run. Our tight end is Tito Santana and Paul Orndorff. Name a better duo than that. Our offensive tackles were Bron Breakker, Dick the Bruiser, Bill Watts, and then Blackjack Mulligan. Our guard was Buckets, Goldenberg, Wayne Munn, and Fitz Von Erich. And our centers were Dusty Rhodes and Big Van Vader. What an incredible crew right there. Our defensive backfield needed some help. So I drafted Adam Pac-Man Jones, who had a match in TNA, and Tito Sabatelli, who was a safety for the Tampa Bay Bucks that had a stint in NXT, but is better known for marrying Mandy Rose, which is the incredible accomplishment in Enemy Life. But we put him at the other corner. And then our inside linebackers were Vern Gagne and Madcap Moss. We didn't do a profile on Madcap Moss, but since then he's been released, and honestly, he's just having kids with Emma. I don't remember. You probably remember Emma from your NXT days.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, good for him.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. Inside linebackers were Wahoo McDaniels and Ron Pritchard. Our defensive line's our strength.
Yeah, totally.
Our inside guys were Leo Nominelli. Did I say that right?
Nomalini.
Steve Mongo McMichaels, Ron Simmons, Brian Pillman, and Angelo Mosco. On our defensive ends, quite the rotation here. Ernie Ladd, Dory Funk Jr., Gene Knitsky, Roman Reigns, Superstar Billy Graham, Stan Hansen, and I added Reggie White. Yeah. I would say our edge is definitely our strength. And mind you, we have our special teamers of Wahoo McDaniels was our punter. We're going to make him a full-time inside linebacker. Stu Hart's our kicker, and PatMcAfee is our punter.
Yeah.
What a football team we assembled here, Kelly.
Yeah, it's quite the team. Still just one quarterback, so if Tully goes down, I don't know. Well, Bronco could sling the ball. He was back in those days. He was kind of like running back / quarterback.
We'll just go
running backs through the ball almost as much as quarterbacks in some offenses back in the day.
We're just going to run the ball, and Tully's handing it off, and he gets to throw Trick Williams one bomb a game. That's all our offense is.
Yeah.
Remember I was talking about setting gaps and creating walls? That's what we're doing with this offense. We're running the fuck out of the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Strong running game for sure with Bronco and Gus, and then Braun as fullback. Yeah, we're set there. I think our offensive line is pretty solid too. Yeah. But defense, I think, against the run and pass rush, we should be good. But if the opposing team has a good quarterback, we may be in trouble.
We don't have any safeties, and we have 2 DBs.
Yeah, it's just we probably have to move some guys. Pillman, I don't know. Yeah,
Trick Williams is going to go both ways. That's what we're
doing. Okay, sure. He can be the Travis Hunter of our team. Yeah, we're going to have maybe a few two-way guys. I mean, the old guys, Bronco, Gus, Wayne Munn, they would have played 2 ways. Buckets,
this is one we're catered for that time period. We're playing in the 30s and the 40s.
Right. Yeah, this is your leather helmet type team.
We got some serious grit, though. We got grit.
Yeah, but then we have Reggie White, like legit one of the all-time greatest football players of all time.
We're kind of cheating there.
Yeah. Well, he did wrestle, so he counts. So he gets a spot on the team. Yeah. Well, maybe someday we can do like a video game simulation with this team or something and put them up against, I don't know, a team of baseball players turned football players.
By the time we get to Super Bowl 70, we'll have the technology to do so, I'm sure.
There you go. So another 10 years, one more decade.
All right, let's take a look at the match recommendations here.
Yeah, we watched some pretty cool matches the first go around.
Yeah, I think this would be a good time to mention, Kelly, that on my website, Rank Wrestling, if you go to the media section, I gave us our own little subsection where all of our episodes are neatly organized, and you get to just scrum through them 1 through 7. And this is going to be there as well. It'll be linked at the bottom of the description if you haven't seen it already. And if you're an audio listener, rankleshling.com/podcast/touchdowns to turnbuckles, or turnbuckles to touchdowns to
turnbuckles. You had it right the first time. I forgot that we had a guest match recommender.
Me too, until I started throwing them in. Yeah, that was quite the cue that we had back in the day. But here's just a quick audio guy, or for the quick people on YouTube, look at all these people all these matches that we've have here. You can go back and check them all out in the archives, of course, but I'm just going to scroll down them real quick. Pretty fucking cool. Really. We put in the work. We watched the matches. We got the recommendations. So yeah, in each episode we had a guest give us their recommendations as well too. So very cool, worth your time to go through. It's a history podcast. So you got the history with the wrestling, and then we give you a match recommendation to check it out from the wrestling point of view, right? So that's where we're at. But we're going to start here with Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody in a tag match, the Tag League Final, versus the Funk Brothers from December 13th, All Japan Pro Wrestling, Real World Tag League from Tokyo, Japan.
It's a mouthful.
12 minutes, 31 seconds. I went 4 stars, Kelly. The finish, it's a phenomenal match. The link that you gave me was interesting because it had snippets from everything leading up to it. Yeah. And it was just pure chaos. Hansen and Brody were on a mission, it seemed like, and they just felt disrespected. I'm not too familiar with the story, but am I around the right tones here? They felt disrespected. They were on a warpath. The work was incredible. It was snug. It was heated. It was in Japanese, the commentary, but you could still feel all the emotions, so to speak. By the end of it, Dory had a gusher, and it was just mayhem. And Terry Funk seemed like the sane one in this out of these 4, which really does say something. But what I think hurt it a little bit was the final. It was a disqualification for the finish. Why did you pick this match, Kelly? I thought it was excellent. Did you have a star rating for it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think of Stan Hansen, you think of Japan. Yeah. One of my favorite all-time matches is Hansen versus Terry Funk from 1983, so a bit after this. So I was thinking along those lines. And then when I saw this one, like I said at the top of the show, it's all West Texas State alum in one match.
Which is cool.
Yeah, so kind of had to go with this, but it's also, a legendary match. It's a great match. When I saved the video, I wasn't aware that it had the recap of the tournament at the beginning, but that was great too.
I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, because you get so this all go into what I know of this match and the feud and the story behind it. I mentioned during Stan Hansen's bit that he defected from New Japan to All Japan, and that's what kicked off this rivalry. Because when Stan Hansen first appeared for All Japan, it was a year prior to this match at the Real World Tag League Finals of 1981. And in that match, it was Bruiser Brody and Jimmy Snuka versus the Funk Brothers. And before the match started, Stan Hansen made his surprise first appearance for All Japan, seconding Bruiser Brody and Jimmy Snuka in that match. And at the end of the match, Hansen gets involved. There's a wild fracas. Giant Baba gets involved, who wasn't even in the match. And this starts this whole thing as you want to see Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody versus the Funk Brothers. And I think they went a whole year, I could be wrong, without giving the fans that match until here, which is the last match. I believe it was a round robin tournament where every team had to face each other once, sort of deal. So we get the highlights at the beginning of the video. It's the opening ceremonies of the tournament, and during the opening ceremonies, Brody and Hansen get into a brawl with the Funks, with all the other teams in the ring. Like you had Harley Race and Dick Slater. They
Was
were a
Ricky
team.
Steamboat there?
Yep, Ricky Steamboat and Jay
Thought I
Youngblood.
recognized him.
Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, a
Youngblood,
legendary
yep.
team at the time, one of the top teams in the States. They were in this tournament. Baba and Jumbo Tsuruta, they were pretty much always a team. The top two guys, top two Japanese guys for All Japan. And so you had a brawl, great booking there to make the fans want to see this match even more, is that, you know, these two teams hate each other so much that they would brawl during the sacred opening ceremonies of the tournament with, you know, the flowers being given out and all that. And then we see the highlights, how we get there. And then we have this match. And yeah, it's just wild. Lots of blood from the baby faces. Because at this time, the Funks were huge baby faces in Japan. Yeah. And maybe as popular as anybody in Japan, Japanese or American. And Hansen and Brody, like a super team, of course. They had both, of course, went to West Texas State. They knew each other. Brody was 1 year older than Hansen, but they were on the team at the same time for a couple of years. And then when they both got into pro wrestling, they immediately teamed up in different territories. So they were familiar with each other and just a natural team, right? So Brody was actually from Michigan, but Hansen, of course, from Texas, but two American ass kickers, almost like the dictionary definition of the foreigner, the American invader that came in like all wild and crazy, throwing chairs, getting into the crowd, all that stuff. The finish makes sense in you're not finishing off, you're not ending anything really. You can run this back. Nobody got pinned, but it was a tournament.
In a vacuum for us watching it, I was like, come on.
I mean, as a modern fan, of course, we're conditioned now that every match has to end with a winner, definitive winner via pin. Heaven forbid we have a DQ or a count out. It's just or a time.
Well, it was the tag league final.
I know. They were out of control. We didn't mention Lou Thez makes an appearance. The first referee gets chucked out of the ring, I believe, and then Thez was the backup ref with his
which is a great gimmick, by the way.
With his new wave inspired checkered ref shirt that gets torn off like hockey jersey style by Hansen or Brody. I can't remember. So two referees can't control the match. The baby faces are bleeding like crazy. Yeah, but I mean, that's the rules. I mean, disqualification is a potential outcome. So, you know,
the energy was chaotic. I can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The crowd was so hot.
Honestly, the energy was infectious. You want more of it.
Yeah. This is a match that had been building for a year. Going back.
And I was watching it cold with really no background.
Yeah. I was pretty sure this is a match that, you didn't really need the background, but thankfully we did have a little bit of the highlights to sort of give you a bit of the story, but no, you don't need it. I mean, this is a hate-filled brawl between two great teams. 4 stars. That's what I went with too. They do have future matches. So there's, I don't know the story going forward, but there's probably more to it. And I'm sure at some point there's a definitive finish, but this in many ways was the first, this is only the beginning of things. And it's just so crazy. So yeah, I'm glad that one hit.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Next up here was a match recommendation from me. It was Bron Breakker versus Tyler Bate in a singles match, unifying the NXT and the NXT UK Championship from September 4th, 2022. It was at NXT Worlds Collide in Orlando, Florida, the PC, 17 minutes, 11 seconds. Kelly, I went 4 1/4. Thought it was great. I thought it was borderline, probably Breakker's best match in NXT for sure. It might be the best match that he's had in his career, and it was pretty early on in his career. But Tyler Bate at this time, your UK champion, he is going to be a guy that's able to slow down a young Bron Breakker who isn't extremely polished yet, but really amplify his strengths. And they told a really good story here, Kelly. They worked the limb. They took away the upper body of Bron Breakker, And Bate did an excellent job of targeting that in the legs for mobility, so to speak. The crowd was pretty good for being a PC crowd. And this isn't the takeover era, but this had takeover vibes where the crowd was super into it. And the match built with the crowd so it did its job. And my favorite part of this was the finish, because I've watched this, but I haven't watched it in 4 years since it happened, 3.5 years. But what NXT does is they do a good job of developing your finisher, no pun intended, right? So especially for young guys like Breakker and Trick and Elia in this 2.0 era, where they wouldn't bastardize their finish and for the sake of the match. They would catch the finish and then they would end it. And I thought that they amplified that perfectly, because Bate does that off the rope springboard clothesline, which he hit earlier, and then he went to the well again, which is a signature move for him. But when he went for that signature move this time, Breakker just eviscerated him with the spear, broke him in half, and I popped for the finish. I thought it was incredible, and he broke him and unified the title there at 17 minutes. Kelly, I might be a little bit too high, but I was pretty keen on this match. I thought it was pretty great.
No, I think that's exactly what Meltzer gave in the Observer, 4.25. I checked.
Nice.
Yeah, I checked the star ratings of the some of the matches. I couldn't find. I don't think the Hansen, Brody, and Funk Brothers match got rated. That was too old. But I checked the others. Yeah, so 4.25. I like this. It's just, there's a reason I'm not watching modern wrestling. I'm just not a huge fan so much of the modern style, although I was a big NXT fan for most of the previous decade. Breakker is very good for sure for his age. Tyler Bate, I liked him a lot when I was watching NXT UK, and he was in NXT too a bit. And I love the stakes. Like, I love a good championship unification match. That's still to this day, I still, I'm interested in that. It's cool when the belts mean something. Yeah. So that was cool. And it was nice to see them NXT UK had run its course or whatever, and they got to end it, fold the belt into the main championship.
Yep.
It was good.
I dug the pace, man. I just thought it was
the pace. Yeah, for sure.
It was laid out really well. It was that modern speed, but with the old pacing, if that makes any sense. I thought Bate was the perfect opponent for him on that night.
Yeah, I would have liked to see maybe Breakker go a bit more heelish. They went pretty straight with.
I think they were face versus face though, so
it was totally. Yeah, I don't think even Breakker didn't really tease, but that's modern wrestling too, where the heel face.
Yeah, it was a unique situation where they were combining the belts. Their UK's top guy was a face.
Right.
America's NXT top guy was a face. So the structure just in the way they laid it out with that structure, I just felt worked.
Yeah. If I was more invested in the modern product, I would have got more out of this. Still, I rated it 3.5 stars,
which is still very good.
Yeah. No, it's high stakes. The crowd, it was not as hot as peak NXT. They kind of had to rebuild things, and this was when they were coming out of the pandemic. Things were not quite back to normal at this point, but this was if this is one of Breakker's highlights so far, this is a pretty solid match to go with for sure.
Yeah, it was a big stage presentation on a big weekend. The night before was Drew versus Roman in that epic Clash of the Castle match. So this is a super weekend versus AEW. This is the first time where it was WWE versus AEW on a weekend.
Right.
So they put Breakker in a big spot, and he was ready. I thought he did extremely well. All right. Reggie White versus Steve Mongo McMichaels in a singles match, May 18th, 1997, WCW Slamboree, 15 minutes and 17 seconds. 2 stars. 2 stars. They should probably have cut that in half. There was parts of this that outkicked its coverage. I saw Meltzer gave it -2. Keith gave it -3. I know Scott.
Yeah.
Scott Keith, like he's my buddy, but come on, don't be that. Like this was not like this was passable, and I thought it was charming enough to go 2. I thought Mongo was actually pretty strong leading the match with like the chops and the cheating aspects and whatnot. I thought it was a little long in the tooth with like the D lineman coming and the strength coach bringing them the counterpart. Deborah's awesome, by the way, on the apron. And then Jarrett comes in with the other Halliburton that I hinted at earlier. And it was fun and charming. It just should have been 8 minutes, not 18. Right?
Yeah. They did multiple headlock spots.
Oh God.
It was too long, but they didn't botch anything. It was considering it was Reggie's one and only match, and McMichael wasn't exactly a experienced ring general. And the crowd was in Charlotte. It would have been better, of course, if it was in Green Bay or Wisconsin to have the hometown crowd. So the heat wasn't there.
But it was WCW country in a way too, right?
Yeah. So, but just a bit too long. But as far as like a one-time only match for a guy, it was perfectly fine. I also went 2 stars on it. The negative,
it was charming. I'll put it that.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved Reggie's little hop before he did the splash at the end. I think that was maybe just a little, he didn't, obviously he wasn't an experienced wrestler, so that he was maybe hesitating a bit. Anyway, it worked. The negative star stuff, that was, I don't think anybody does that crap anymore. That was total like 80s, 90s snarky newsletter fan.
It's bullshit. Let's be
frank. Like, okay, it is what it is. Not every match can be great and can be high work rate and all that. It was far from the worst. I was thinking as I was watching it, I was like, well, I know Goldberg and Undertaker had like a really horrible match
That's
together.
horrible. Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I drifted to that. I guess I was thinking of like a football player in a match.
Or the Vince McAfee stuff. If you want to go negative on that, where it's like horrendous, like
right, but that was very short. Yeah,
that's a dud. Like,
what about Vince versus Bret Hart? That was way worse than this.
That was that was pretty bad. That was
like there's lots of examples with much more experienced wrestlers having way worse matches than Reggie White versus Steve McMichael at Slamboree 97.
Like, it wasn't LT Bam Bam, but it was
no, but that was different. Main event, more heat.
Yeah, like I said, I keep saying it, but it was charming.
Charming. Yeah, totally charming. Yeah. Deborah was a good character at the time.
She was awesome, man.
Mongo played the role. His role totally fine at the time. I admit I wasn't too high on him being in the Four Horsemen. I was kind of like, who's this guy?
But though.
Yeah, and they had the rivalry. One played for the Bears, one played for the Packers, and they actually did play on the Packers together in McMichael's last season, and they mentioned that on commentary that they didn't get along in the locker room and all of that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, of course, we talked about the McMichael Kevin Green match. That's definitely something that people should watch. I'm curious, what did we give that? Yeah, you gave it 3 1/4. I probably gave it like 3.5 or something like that.
Where is it?
It's right. Yeah, it's right at the bottom now.
Did I go by it? Oh, yeah. Here it is. All right.
There it is.
3 1/4.
I went 3. Okay.
Mind you, that was only 9 minutes.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, this one should have been. Gilbert Brown getting involved, and they tried to make it like a regular sort of feud match or whatever. But anyway, I was curious. I'd never seen this before, and it's
I didn't hate it. It was fun. It was fun.
It was perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
All right. The last match here is PatMcAfee versus Gunther singles match, May 10th, 2025. WWE Backlash from St. Louis, Missouri. 14 minutes and 7 seconds. I went 3 1/4. I thought this match was charming in a way too. This was Gunther coming off the upset of Jey Uso's win, and he was on a mission to kind of find himself again, but also get rid of the yeeting. Like they would go on and be like the yeeting for Jey Uso, so to speak, and that led to this match. And it, honestly, the night after WrestleMania, this kicked off, and it was a beautiful angle where when Gunther loses his shit in the WWE world, they highlight it very well. And he lost his shit on Michael Cole, and then McAfee, who was at the guest, stood up for Cole, which led for Gunther to go AWOL on McAfee and have this match here. Obviously, McAfee is an extreme underdog here and leagues and leagues and leagues below the ring general Gunther, of course, right? And Gunther, who psychology-wise, it maybe overlooked Jey Uso, would he overlook Pat McAfee, and is he in a rut? Like that's like the story of the match, and that's the psychology of the match. There is this like can like Stella find his groove? Can Gunther find his groove, so to speak, right? But I really love how Gunther isolated and targeted his lower body because Pat, the one thing that could threaten Gunther was that punt kick, even though it's goofy and wonky, but it made sense. And it was scrappy enough to, the crowd played a part. And when Cole kind of jumped out of the seat and hit the things, and we had that near fall of a roll up, that was a believable finish, 10, 12 minutes into the match. And Gunther would continue to kill him. And then, of course, Gunther would just annihilate him and pass him out and really just choke the motherfucker out. I rather enjoyed it. I thought they maximized what this could be. I think 3 1/4 is legit.
Oh yeah, I actually went a quarter higher. I went 3.5.
Yeah.
I liked it better than Breakker and Bate, which I gave the same rating to, because this was more of my kind of style of a match where it was heavy on the story. It was all about Gunther, being cocky and just toying with McAfee, and even McAfee had a few hope spots, but they were immediately cut off. There was nothing where you were like, oh, Gunther's selling way too much for this guy.
Yeah, he's not giving him, but he's giving him just enough to keep the match compelling.
Yeah. It was, so from that perspective, it was worked perfectly. Gunther, great heel performance. McAfee, yeah, if I liked him more, I would be more into him as a babyface. He's not a natural. Well,
he's more of a natural heel for sure.
Yeah, you'd think eventually he's going to work heel as a wrestler. But Gunther is a great heel. Throwback to the old days, good stuff with Cole, because that was the only way you could really have McAfee have like a glimmer of hope, was to have a little bit of interference.
That Cole spot was really well done.
Yeah, and Gunther being distracted, story,
which led
he wasn't taking McAfee seriously at all. He was just screwing around most of the match, and it almost caught him. Because
he did the month before at WrestleMania, where he lost his championship.
Yeah, and that's a good way to book a heel, is that they're great wrestlers, but they have that character flaw of being too arrogant, and that's how they lose matches. So yeah, this was good. This was good stuff. And I didn't even think about the punt kick as I was watching it, but he was a first team All-Pro. He was a great punter. So that makes perfect sense in a wrestling context, that would be a potential kill shot, like the only thing that he has that is better than any of the wrestlers he's facing.
And they did a really good job of establishing that in the Adam Cole feud with Pat McAfee with that punt kick. They had a really good angle where Cole was stuck over, and then just McAfee just ran across the screen and punted him, and it was just really, really well done. And honestly, Cole on the McAfee show is an incredible angle too, if you ever wanted to go back and watch that, or whoever listening to recall that as well. So McAfee has done some good stuff, and this was a part of WWE Unreal. And I watched it, and like Triple H threatened Pat, if he doesn't sell that choke out all the way to the back, and if he goes into business for himself, he's gonna fucking kill him, because this is about making Gunther, and it's not about tell Pat to stay in character. Tell Pat to stay in character, because Triple H was so nervous. It's Unreal, so play into it as you will. But I legit thought that this was like, there was some true stigma to it, where Pat was just like, Triple H, Pat, stay in character. Do not sell that you are not choked out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it was funny just to be
Mhm.
like, all right, I really don't trust this McAfee guy. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, he's had what, 8 total matches. I
if
mean,
that, yeah.
it's not. I think they did show stats when he was coming to the ring. I think it was 8. But anyway, yeah, that's not enough to become, good at anything. I mean, you gotta have more experience. So yeah, I can understand why Triple H could be nervous. They clearly see Gunther as one of their top guys.
As they should, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, look, and after this, he ended Cena's career and now AJ Styles' career. I'm assuming he's like, what can he do next? I mean, he should be going for the top belt, or he's had one of the belts, the top belts.
Yeah.
But anyway,
He held it twice. He would defeat Jey Uso on a Monday Night Raw about 2 months after this to regain his belt, and then he would lose it to Punk at SummerSlam. I think I told you to watch that match. I don't know if you ever did.
No, I just it's
on Netflix. Hey, he gets a gusher.
I know. I have Netflix. I could watch it at any time.
Yeah.
Someday I'll find my smile again with modern wrestling.
When we do Phil Brooks's NFL career, I'm gonna have to recommend it, and you'll have to watch it.
Phil Brooks. Okay. Sure. Anyway,
those are the
this
4 matches that we recommend from this episode, Kelly. I don't regret watching any of them. I thought they were all pretty good.
Nope. They all do, in their own way. They get the job done.
All right, Kelly, let's go jump over to the modern game coming up this weekend. All right, Kelly, Super Bowl 60, Seattle Seahawks versus New England Patriots. My question to you, who will you be rooting for?
Well, let's
keep my friendship in mind as you answer this.
It's been 2 years since we last did this. I'm regretting we didn't do a special last year because we would have got to talk about the Eagles.
Yeah, right before they won it.
Super Bowl, but we didn't. And so the Eagles won. They are still now, with only a couple more days left, they're still the defending champions or the reigning champions of the NFL. But this season didn't go as planned, as it usually does for the Eagles following a big year. They always have a down year for whatever reason, but we don't have to get into that. I'm wearing a Saskatchewan Roughriders t-shirt because they, unlike the Eagles in 2025, they in the CFL won the Grey Cup and are champions.
Is that your CFL team? I forget.
It's not. I grew up in Calgary. I was born in Saskatchewan. I have a lot of family in Saskatchewan, and it's green like the Eagles. It's great. But yes, I grew up in Calgary. So Calgary's my team, the Stampeders, but they haven't been good in quite some time. But I got this shirt. I think I explained it back on the original show. I got this by accident because my sister-in-law thought I was a Rough Riders fan instead of a Stampeders fan. So I got this as a Christmas present. I've been just wearing it around the house, sometimes in public. But anyway, it's appropriate now. Anyway, so, okay, we didn't get to talk about last year's Super Bowl. And now we're here, and your team somehow emerged from 2 straight 4-win seasons. It didn't look like, I mean, Drake May looked good last year as a rookie, but still they only won 4 games. Vrabel, they should have hired him the first time or the first when he got fired.
Yeah.
But anyway, they got to him eventually. I guess he was kind of waiting for his former team to open arms for him, bring him back into the fold. And what a turnaround.
It's a great fit. It's a phenomenal fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's almost too perfect.
The night that the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, the Super Bowl 60 60 odds came out, and the New England Patriots were 150-1 to win the Super Bowl the night that the Eagles won.
Yeah. And you bought a ticket, or you made a bet?
I did make a bet, and $100 will pay me $50.
Yeah.
It's sad.
You got a lot running on this game, man.
I don't care about the money. Go Pats. Go Pats.
I mean, great idea, but that was when Vrabel was hired, right? Why not? I mean, that's very smart because you'll never get better odds.
No, I looked at. Well, I had money to play with because I bet your Eagles. And
okay, so thank
so
you.
honestly, I put the bet in to show my brother to get a laugh out of him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like $100 to get a laugh out of my brother, whatever.
The payout. Yeah, of course. I mean,
but when I was like, all right, we got Vrabel, and if Drake May is amazing, Why the fuck
Yeah.
not? But my brother will laugh at the joke. And we had so much free agents money. We signed
Right.
Milton Williams, your boy.
Yeah, yeah. And he's done
Spillane,
great. I'm so pleased.
just
Yeah, he's done
it just
great for you
everything
guys.
fell into piece. Barmore is incredibly healthy. The line you win up front, just like our football team, Kelly. You win in the middle up front, and everything else can fracture outside of it. If you make noise in the middle of the field, everything else falls into place. And you have Christian Gonzalez, who's an all-pro cornerback. The scheme has been incredible. The blitz patterns in the playoff has been unpredictable. We'll see.
The schedule is super easy. The quarterbacks. I'm surprised that Sam Darnold didn't break his neck in some freak accident before the
There's
game.
still plenty of time.
There's still
Kelly.
time,
There's
even
still
though it's
time.
only Sam Darnold. God knows. We'll get to that. Okay, so yes, the Patriots. What a season! You get rewarded for being a last place team. You get the last place schedule. You took advantage. You lost to the Raiders at home
in the opening game.
In the opening game, the worst team in the NFL at the end of the season, and you could be the best team in the NFL Sunday night after Sunday night.
Could be.
So I can't cheer for the Patriots. You know that. I know. Can't.
I can't. I was trying to get you to do it. I'm trying to get everyone to say it, but they're not.
It's outside of New England. I don't think, unless you have Patriot fans all over the place. Yeah. But I mean, it's just too soon. It's only been 7 years since the last Lombardi. We were thinking, okay, maybe 15 years is punishment. Because if you look at the other dynasties,
5 years. That's it.
I was
5 years of misery. That's
it. Well, it's who knows? You haven't crossed the finish line yet, but you're close. But the Steelers, I think they went 15 or 16 years between Super Bowl appearances.
25. So they
from their dynasty, like the Steel Curtain dynasty, and then the one they lost to the Cowboys. So they didn't win another one.
The one that they lost to the Cowboys.
Just to make it back to the
Larry Allen's pick 6.
Yes. So that was
Neil
16
O'Donnell.
years.
Yeah.
The Cowboys haven't been back to a Super Bowl, as we know, in 30
or relevant at all.
Now, which is great. The 49ers, it took them quite a while to get back to the Super Bowl after
quite a bit. Yeah.
The young Montana dynasty. The Packers, if you want to go way back, the Lombardi dynasty, they were dead for a generation after that one ended. So this is the quickest turnaround for a dynasty to make it back to the Super Bowl. So it's just too soon, Ryan. I just can't. Plus, I don't think they shouldn't win. By one thing, and we talked about this off air when we did Trail Mix. I said Sam Darnold would never hoist a Lombardi, and now I'm faced with this choice. I mean, if I go with the Seahawks, obviously, then Sam Darnold's going to hoist a Lombardi. But the Seahawks are good, man. Their schedule wasn't super tough either, but they beat the Rams, pretty good team. They destroyed the 49ers. Their defense is the best as far as points allowed. Their offense is pretty good. Darnold, I'll tip my hat to him. Against the Rams, he looked like an all-time great quarterback. That was a great performance. No mistakes. Touchdown passes, 3 of them, I believe. Yeah.
We'll see who shows up. He's got an oblique issue. Drake got a shoulder issue.
Yeah, they're banged up.
Both are banged up. Spillane, our middle linebacker, who's kind of our coach on the field, he wears the dot, which is so important to communicate throughout a defense. He's going to play, but how limited is he going to be with his lower body injury? We'll see. How are they going to slow down JSN is my main concern, right?
Yeah, he's really, probably the best player on the field.
I'm not worried about their run game. I hate to say that, but I want them to run the ball. I really want them to try to run the ball. Walker, he's on a pitch count, and when Walker's in the game, I think analytically he's the worst pass pro running back in the league. They would always put Chardonnay back there for pass pro, and Chardonnay was like a rock out there with the pass pro. And Walker is undersized and kind of limited from a inside the tackles, workhorse type of running back. So I hope that they were able to kind of slow them down passing, that they have to go to the run game and get uncomfortable. And then when they're in passing situations where Kenneth Walker is going to try to slow down that blitz pattern that we've been so great with, being unpredictable up front, confusing O-lines with our scheme, with our slanting, with our which gap control we're going to go through. We got guys running untouched. You don't see that in the NFL, right? So we'll see if that will translate as well. Kubiak's a very good coach, but how focused up front is he trying to like slow us down and with our pass patterns, where can we throw a vanilla coverage at them because they're so concerned about our pass rush that we can get away with like a vanilla coverage and brello them, keep us in front of them. I think whoever can get more explosive plays will benefit and obviously win the game. That's the formula in any game. But I think especially here, we're very similar defensively, but they're just better up front with the O-line. Can we run the ball? And then what Drake are we going to get? Like, he's not in the elements. He's not having a guy breathe down. Like the Broncos, the Texans, and even the Chargers.
Yeah.
Incredible pass rushes.
Strong defense.
San Diego is more of, or Seattle is more of a complete defense, but that kind of plays into our favor a little bit better where they're more balanced. So we could have more of a balanced approach offensively. And I trust McDaniels. I truly, truly trust McDaniels. I think for Stevenson's will have an impactful game, and then we can just kind of just get Drake on some runs, some play action passes, take some shots. Pop Douglas, big play here and there. Kyle Williams, big play here and there. Hunter Henry, can he make some big third down catches? We don't have a slew of guys. And then Stefan Diggs, will he be that underneath guy where they're trying to keep everything in front? Can he be running side to side, making the catches on second and third down to extend the drive? If Ramadre can get 5 yards per carry, I think we have a real strong case of winning this game. Real strong cases. And it's going to have to be in between the tackles. Real strong cases. I'm just going to be optimistic and go Patriots 24-20.
I could see it. I mean, that's what they did in 2002, I guess it was, against the Rams. They were pretty heavy underdogs in that game.
14 points, and they won 2017 on the last game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
They were up 17-3, and they let it slip away, and they held on.
Yep. Well, I can clearly remember watching that game at a friend's house.
Yep.
So there was that. But this is different. This isn't Belichick anymore. This isn't Brady.
Vrabel's no slouch though, man. Vrabel's
no. He's been super successful in Tennessee with what he had. He didn't have a ton to work with at that time. He had freaking Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, and they did pretty good. I'm gonna go with Seattle. I kind of see this. We all know what happened 11 years ago, and Seattle desperately wants revenge here. That was a Super Bowl that they came so close to winning. Much like the Eagles won their first Super Bowl against the Patriots after losing to the Patriots 13 years before. So there's kind of parallels.
11 years before, yeah.
Yeah, with the team kind of getting to rewrite things to right a wrong from a decade previous. The Eagles were, I believe, almost a touchdown underdog in that game. So here the Seahawks are favorite.
8 points, yeah.
I think, was it 8? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
The line hasn't moved all 2 weeks, I don't think.
Well, it opened at 3.5, and then it shot
okay,
to
5.
five.
But then it quickly shot up. Yeah,
It's
been at 4.5 for quite a while.
And now it's like settled at 4.5.
Yeah.
I don't think it's probably going to stay that. Maybe Patriots might see a heavy, like you might have to lay some points to lay some juice down to get the Patriots, but I don't see it getting past there.
It's tough. I just still, I don't have faith in Sam Darnold. I thought his career was over. It was like they only had like one more scoop of dirt to shovel on that. Great.
It's a cool story. It is
a cool story, but God, he was done. Yeah, well, it was the Jets though, and the Panthers had him too.
And the Niners, and then
the Niners,
Vikings.
But that was like they knew he was just going to.
They rehabbed him. Yeah.
The Panthers needed a quarterback at that point, and they let him go.
And Baker.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Seattle 20, Patriots 17.
Oh, close one.
Yeah. Oh, I think it'll be close. I can't see it being a blowout.
Yeah. We'll see.
But,
I can see a scenario where the Patriots are like legit playing with house money, and then they kind of a little bit.
But both teams, neither made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, true.
Seattle won 10 games, but they didn't make the playoffs.
But I think McDaniels is an incredible coach. Vrabel's an incredible coach. McDaniels is an incredible coach. Kubiak's an incredible coach. So I think this is going to be a well-coached game, and it's whoever can adjust and find success and just ride it out, really, and don't have to change their identity too much will probably prevail. My gut, I would really be shocked if the Patriots won. I really, really would. But I don't know if that's just my nerves or just I'm still in shock that they fucking made it. To be frank.
Yeah, I mean, who have they lost to? They lost to Buffalo, and that was a game
they were up 21-0.
21-0.
Pittsburgh, it was an ugly game. We had 5 turnovers, and the Raiders was the first game of the year. No one really.
Right, so there you go. Yeah, no, that doesn't even count.
Yeah.
So, barely lost. And then Seattle's barely lost themselves. They lost in week 1 as well.
Yeah.
At home. So there's another parallel. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Personally, I've never been a Seahawks fan. Of course, I've been an Eagles fan, but living out here on the West Coast or Pacific Northwest, you get, of course, when the Seahawks are doing good, you just, everyone suddenly has merch and jerseys and toques, and everybody's suddenly a fan. A lot of talk, a lot of big talk. So, but then the Patriots, of course,
America's team.
Yeah, America's. Oh, at least it's not the fucking Chiefs anymore. That's one game.
Yeah, fuck the Chiefs.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll be watching.
I'm sure you'll text me, buddy.
I know you got a lot riding on this. I can't imagine what you're going to be feeling like if it's.
I don't even think about it.
Close game in the fourth quarter. I'd be.
Yeah, I don't even think about it. Well, my fear is going up big and then getting absolutely crushed by them.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, it's not the new 28-3.
Oh my god, it's time to go, Kelly. It was really fun, long, but I think it was.
Oh no, it was great.
A lot, man. It was fun. We had a lot of catching up to do with football, and I'm glad we did it, Kelly.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a blast, man.
All right, Kelly. We'll have to do this next Super Bowl. Let's not take a year off. All right.
Yeah,
buddy?
no, I think we'll make it an annual thing now.
All right, next year when it's the Eagles and the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
I don't know. The Eagles, man, they're just problems.
Kelly, it was fun. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man.